Hello and welcome to Sustainability Leads, the podcast where we bring you insightful conversations with South African business leaders on everything sustainability. I have the greatest pleasure to welcome our guest, Tshegofatso Tyira from African Rainbow Minerals. Welcome, Seho.
Hello, Dr. Achieng. Thank you for the warm welcome. It's such a great pleasure to be with you this morning.
Thank you. And, to start off, I would like you to just take us back. Who is Seho? That journey from way back, getting you into the sustainability space. Just take a moment and let our viewers into that story of how you got here.
Right. No, thank you for that question. So, I'm Tshegofatso Tyira, known as Tshego. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, originally from Rustenburg, a platinum city, where we're surrounded by mines. I do hold master's degrees in environmental management, so I'm a greenie, if one could say, and I hold a master's in business administration. And my journey in the mining and sustainability field started growing up in a mining town, Rustenburg, surrounded by mines, and you grow up, you see people around you prospering, making lots of money because they work in a mining environment. And in those days, the key careers were nursing and teaching for our parents. But you see people prospering because of the mines in your area. It kind of gave me an interest that I would want to go work there, become rich, because you see people making money. And I went to study environmental management. That was my first studies. And there now you're starting to learn that the mining sector is one of those sectors that could significantly impact on the environment if there are no measures taken to address that. And that was more reasons for me to come back and work in a mining sector. So I started working around 2000 as an environmental consultant. And luckily again, I think mining was just meant for me. Most of our clients were mines, so I did a lot of consulting in the coal mines in Witbank, as well as the Rustenburg mines. And a position appeared in one of the mines in Rustenburg, more reasons to come back and work at home. And then that's how I got into the field. And at the moment, I'm currently the Executive Sustainable Development. I work for African Rainbow Minerals. And my role there is basically to ensure that the sustainability principles, ESG, is embedded in our business, in our strategy, in how we actually interact with our stakeholders. So that's actually my journey in a nutshell.
That's really great. And so you have grown in the sector, you have built yourself into this leadership position, and I call it leadership in sustainability. What are those experiences that have ensured that you get to this leadership space that you are in right now? What are those experiences that enabled you to build that confidence and to drive yourself to where you are at the moment?
Look, I must say it was tough in the beginning. I joined mining when I was 26 years old. It was around 2005. Around that time, women in mining, it was more around you either doing admin work, you're doing HR, you're doing finance, and not necessarily on the core or critical roles, if one would say, like production related. So those days it was tough, but one needed to assert themselves. So my role when I began in the mine was an environmental manager role. The beautiful part about it is that before you commence any mining activity, before you expand, you need to consult your environmental specialist on site. So it was kind of an advantage that now I'm part of the management team. You get to be involved there. You get to have a voice, I remember actually there were times where the mining team and the project team decided to do a project. They planned a project that they were going to expand There are lots of production volumes that were going to come out, lots of money that was going to be made, and they forgot that there were environmental authorizations that needed to be done. And then I heard about that project passing, and then I had to stop it. You could imagine what happened, you know. Obviously, I'm doing my job and protecting the reputation of the company. So I stopped it. People were so unhappy with me. But that time I realized, wow, so much power I have with this role, as long as I know what I'm doing. People were unhappy with me. I landed that stage that I don't have to be liked by everyone, as long as I'm doing my job. But because they were angry, the project was delayed with about 10 to 12 months. It's like a year. Remember the projection, financial projections, those things were planned, and I delayed it. But then again, I was the same person that had to run and follow up on that authorization until we got it. And when we got it, then I was suddenly the favorable person. So those kind of things are the things that have actually built a kind of confidence in me as a leader. And studying as well. You know, you study, you expand your knowledge, your skills in your field. So when you stand in front of people, that confidence just comes naturally. So over the years, I think that's where I would say it has started, and it has kind of built a leader like me. I think one of the things that I had to get over time is resilience. It's tough in the mining sector, being a woman. You always have to kind of fight for space, fight for your voice, but through those challenges now, one knows that I can stand there and talk about my work.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and you've really built your own space, carved your own space within that sector. But I want to go back, if you don't mind, to that function, and I know you were there quite a while back, of being an environmental manager in mining. Just unpack that for us. When you stopped that project, what were the elements? What is it that a typical environmental manager deals with in mining?
All right. So environmental stewardship is critical in a mining sector, as I said earlier, due to the nature of the activities. Whatever we do, we pollute, and the thing about environmental issues is that they're visible. You can see a stack releasing emissions. You can see water being discharged. So my role at the time was to ensure there's an environmental management system, number one. There are policies, there are procedures, there are systems in place to manage environmental issues. But it goes step back. What were those environmental issues? That's where you do an impact assessment. Then you identify there's waste issues, there's water, there's dust. And in all of those issues, what are the preventive and corrective measures that one needs to do to try and manage those? So those were kind of my job, to have procedures, to implement the procedures, to monitor those procedures and ensure that there are people coming out to audit. But in an example that I made earlier on is, again, for every activity, every expansion, either we want to buy a mine, we want to expand, or we want to remove something in what we have. There's a National Environmental Management Act that says there are activities that triggers and an authorization. So in the case I said, the team did not involve me. You know, it goes back to that issue of you are a young woman, you are young there, and unfortunately for the job I had of environmental manager, you kind of seen as a police woman. They don't want to involve you. You come here, you're going to be identify issues, and the next thing there's that big report, it goes to the general manager. So they kind of keep you away. Even for that project, I had by mistake in one of the meetings to say, don't forget, we're going to be constructing ABC on this particular time. And I'm like, no, how possible is that? How big is that plant that you want to put in? Where will it be? Then we realized it triggers a lot of issues. I mean, it triggered an environmental authorization. And the lovely part about it, what I like about the National Environmental Management Act, it says, appoint an independent consultant. Not necessarily you, Tshegofatso, being the environmental manager there. Get somebody independent, let the person come, do the assessment, and then consult your stakeholders. That's where the process gets elongated, you know? So then we had to go back, engage the communities around us, have public participation meeting. Other stakeholders feel like you need to have a focus group meeting with us, come and talk to us. And in many cases, you go to those meetings, your stakeholders are not necessarily interested about environmental issues. They like jobs. What's in for us?
Yes.
And we still needed to balance that. So that's why the process was actually stopped. So I must say it's very nice to be an environmentalist. Yeah, so that was me that time, yes.
For young job seekers out there,
Yes.
that is what environmental management is about. But back to the sustainability landscape, the meaning, the concept, we've seen it evolving. If you've been in this space for 20 years, you've seen the evolution of the meaning of sustainability within corporates, and especially within corporates in South Africa. What does responsible mining mean in very practical terms?
Maybe I must also explain how I see that sustainability evolving over time and link it back to responsible mining. So again, being an environmentalist, being a greenie by profession, in the beginning what we used to see with sustainable development, it was more attached to environmental issues because as I said earlier on, the impacts are visible, you see it. And it is actually a broader concept. It's people, planet, and profit, you know. It's trying to balance those three issues. But again, there were times, actually, and I think if you remember, the word sustainability was just overused. Sustainability of our project, sustainability of our organization, sustainability, like it just went over and broad. But I think what I liked and where I think it really kind of emanated more well that we could see it, it's when Kofi Annan, that UN secretary, in 1999, when he went to the to Davos, and he actually started encouraging businesses to kind of look beyond, look at the values of labor practices, human rights, environmental practice. There is more, right? And then comes 2000, your UNGC, your United Nations Global Compact. It came, now it grew, and I like what you all also came with the 10 principles. That was beautiful. I mean, we're talking principle, environmental practice, anti-corruption, labor. You see, it's moving beyond environmental issues. Then it was just growing, and then businesses were encouraged to say, embed this in your business, you know, implement this in your business. Then it was Who Cares to Win, the report that came, I think, around 2004. And then now the concept ESG came, right? And what I like that ESG, it was kind of a framework, not necessary for your investors, kind of, but it was saying business, implement your environmental, social, and governance issues within your business. And that helped to grow the concept of sustainability. And it also helped us as sustainability practitioners now to actually have those framework in place and to embed it. That's why nowadays you see mines. Mines are doing very well. I'm not that because I'm coming from mines, but we are doing very well in a sense that now the disclosures. I mean, we issue sustainability report. We issue ESG reports. We issue integrated reports where now we are not afraid to share with our stakeholders our performance in terms of ESG over normally in a year. So I think there's that evolution that came. That's why you would find we use sustainability and ESG interchangeably because they're actually kind of linked. It's people, planet, profit. It's environmental, social, and governance. These two you cannot actually separate. And if I would come to your question of responsible mining, I for as long as I've been in mining, I've been working for 26 years and 21 have been in mining. I think the mines have always been working towards responsible mining because responsible mining, to me, it's just say prioritize environmental stewardship, social responsibility, social license to actually operate, and then have that governance standards and structures to actually implement these things in place and have a precautionary approach when dealing with this ESG risk. So yeah, I think I've said a lot. I'm very passionate about those issues. Yeah.
Yes, but so the question when you think about the environmental footprint of a company, the question is always balance, right? How do you, they are competing demands in a business, you know, operational demands, environmental responsibility, issues around water, land, issues around emissions. How should companies meaningfully achieve both without compartmentalizing or without deprioritizing sustainability?
Look, when it comes to environmental stewardship with mining, those you cannot separate. No, not at all. And as I said to you earlier, the impacts are visible. You can't hide them, you know. We see, and it's also reputational risk as well. So that is actually one of the core pillars, actually, one would say, for sustainability. That's why you see under the 3 pillars of sustainability, there's that planet. You go to the ESG again, E is still there. You just cannot ignore that. So I think it's very important that we have environmental specialists appointed, strictly appointed independently to work on to deal with environmental issues. I mean, if I take it, African Rainbow Minerals, we got a whole department under the sustainability team under me, where we got a corporate environmental manager. Each and every operation has its own environmental manager as well, that kind of have a reporting line to us at corporate, so that they can prioritize these issues. And I think what's also important is having environmental management system, a formalized system. When I say formalized system, remember we used to have ISO 14001. We still have it as well in our operation at African Rainbow Minerals. That kind of actually formalize the systems that you must have, because what that says plan, do, check, and act. So you plan, what are actually your environmental impacts? So that impact analysis is done in the beginning, and I like what the National Environmental Management Act says. I'm going to refer a lot to it because it governs the environmental management in our country. It does say environmental impact assessment needs to be done throughout the life cycle of the mine. So we need to understand what are our impacts during construction phase, during operational, and during closure. And you must have preventive and corrective measures to actually address those issues. So we got policies, we call them safety, health, and environmental policies. Each operation has it. We have it at corporate. That governs how we manage environmental issues within the organization. Then we got your procedures. If waste is an issue, we got waste procedures that are in place to try and address those issues. And we continually review. We must review those impacts. And then every time there's new activity, environmental manager must ensure that that particular activity of risk assessment has been done. We know what the impacts are, and then we have measures in place to actually address that. So you cannot say you leave it out. It's one of the core things, and that is why it's important. There must be an environmental personnel appointed, otherwise it's going to lose the momentum.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So accountability is also part of that process. So when you really think about it, sustainability, even the function in a business, is not a very old thing. It's one of the newest concepts, the newest function in many businesses, and companies are at different levels of performance and of integration. What does it take for a sustainability champion like you in a company to ensure that sustainability is integrated first into strategy, we say into operations, we say into supply chains, and we also go ahead and say into your communities, but also remembering your stakeholder engagement portion as well. How do you do that? Where do you start as a head of sustainability? And what are the challenges involved in that process of integration? Yeah.
So let me give you an overview of how we do it at African Rainbow Minerals. So ESG, sustainability, is a business imperative to us. It's core to our strategy. It's core to how we even do business with other people. So And our approach to this is to try and maintain a balance between your environmental, your social, and then your economic aspects of the business while maintaining the highest standards of governance, right? So our leadership, our governance structures, our values, legal and other requirements, it guides that process in our business to actually embed ESG in the business. And we do have a department that is led by me as an executive for sustainable development for that is responsible, as I said earlier on when I was defining my role, to ensure that integration is done in the business. But again, sustainability is broad. It touches all the elements of the business. I always say to my team, ours is the golden thread that just runs across the businesses, business departments, strategy. They cannot do without us. We might be just a small department, but we are actually everywhere. So how we have done that is core to our approach is the material matters. Okay. Because sustainability is too broad. I mean, you touch up until what level, right? So we have what we call material matters, and then these material matters are those issues that we believe from the ESG perspective, if we don't address them, they got a way to affect our ability to deliver our strategy, which is to deliver competitive returns to our shareholders and stakeholders, right? So we want to create value to our stakeholders. So we've undertaken a process where within the E, we got the E pillar, environmental pillar, we got material matters like climate change is core to us, rehabilitation is core to us, tailings management is core, for example. We look at the social side, we've identified, we have like health and wellness of our communities, of our own people, our employees, we got talent management, it runs across various issues, community engagement, stakeholder engagement. Then you look at the G stars, part of it, our compliance, our technology adoption, those kind of things. So we got a big material matters that we've identified, and beautiful, it was a bottom-up approach. I mean, we got an independent person to say, go back into our operations and let's check what do our operation think, because you're sitting at corporate, right? What do they think is material to them? And we got that process. In dealing with the stakeholders, because some deal with DMPR, some deal with the communities. In dealing with their communities, so we looked at outward as well. What are the people worried about, right? And we brought it back. It went to management as well. We asked management the same question. Went to ESCO, we asked the same question, and we came up with those material matters. So there now we agree, all of us, that from the sustainability perspective, these are the core things that we are going to be focused on. And then with that, we got sustainable development goals, right? We also looked at that, and we're saying, I mean, we cannot do work without the guidance of this, because they are overall and they're for everyone. And there again, there are lots of them. There's 17, right? So we looked and prioritized to say within the 17 sustainable development goals, which ones are core that are linked to this material matters. And we prioritized, I think we got 6 of those that we say they are core to activities. We took that, we linked them to those material matters. And then we have key performance indicators attached to this ESG material matters that we use to manage ESG. And in that sense, that you got policies, you got procedures, and as well as systems to address that. But what is also beautiful for us at African Rainbow Minerals, because remember now these KPIs from the material issues lies across the group. There are ones for HR, there are ones for people that are doing ventilation. It's everywhere. So to try and manage that as well, we got what we call sustainable development committees. That is outside, before your ESCOs and whatever. In this committee, we meet on quarterly basis. I chair those. It's a multi-stakeholder committee as well. We got different people coming from different departments again to come and give us a report in terms of their performance in terms of ESG issues. And then we take that back, and I report that back to various structures of the organization. But again, I've spoken about our governance structures that are guiding us, our material matters, and then the implementation. But what is also important is your risks. So we have a department that does risk assessment. So our ESG is also part of that enterprise risk management. So we ensure that when risk assessments are done, ESG risks as well, they are taken into consideration. But to close that whole loop in terms of our journey, then we got combined assurance. Somebody must come and monitor, you know. And my team at head office, we do monitor those processes. Then we got external auditors that come and audit us as well to see that what we're saying is happening. It is happening, to also give assurance to the board that indeed these things are actually entrenched in the business. And we will have our annual reports that we report, and then ESG reports. We still get external auditors to come and assure the data that's related to our material matters. So we give our stakeholders assurance that we are not making up stories. So it's almost in a nutshell a sustainability kind of a journey. And then the fact that we are International Council of Mining and Metal, ICMM members as well. ICMM, we mine with principles. ICMM pushes responsible mining. So we also have, there are expectations from the ICMM that we need to be actually doing in order to ensure that whatever that we do translate to impacts is seen.
And I'm really glad that you bring up the issue of assurance, because I think one of the challenges in sustainability is data, and how credible is the data that we use to tell our stories of performance. And I think going forward, we are in the data era anyway.
We are actually.
So
to just add that in the past 2 years, we had a project, actually, we had external people to come and develop what we call sustainable data management system, so that, because we have about 9 operations, so that the data that we have is credible, and then it is signed off, it is automated, so we have systems in place that build up from all the operations and come to us at corporate. So by the time the assurance process comes, we have seen it, we have done our own internal audits, and so it is kind of credible.
So your company, African Rainbow Minerals, is a visible company in the mining landscape. And still on the issue of sustainability within the company, and sustainability leadership, accountability becomes critical for that process, for the integration to happen, for continuous, process of improvement. How does your company handle the issue of leadership and accountability?
Remember, I said it is a business imperative for us. It is core to our strategy. So the board is accountable for ESG and sustainability issues within our organization, and they delegated that responsibility to the Social and Ethics Committee of the board. And then you have a Tshegofatso, who is an executive appointed for sustainable development to ensure work is done and is implemented. Tshegofatso reports to the CEO, right? And the same Tshegofatso is the one that's also responsible for these sustainable development committees within the operations. And then what we do then, the whole report that I get from the bottom, I'm responsible to ensure it's in place. I need to give the CEO assurance that all is in order. I take that information at the Social and Ethics Committee. And then we got an Audit and Risk Committee that have an oversight on the assurance process, the audit. So they are responsible to provide that oversight. So I have to report back there in terms of assurance and what has come back. And then on the risks as well, ESG risks, the Audit and Risk, Social and Ethics are having a look at that. So the accountability and responsibility is very clear. Everybody knows their responsibility. But core thing, the board is responsible.
But within the business units, and I know I am pressing for this, because we always say that our ideal end state is that sustainability becomes totally spread within the organization, effectively implemented. And that means that it will no longer just sit with the executive for sustainability. So what about the business units? Because even when you're looking for your data for reporting, there's other executives responsible for certain pillars in sustainability. How does that work out?
That's why I went back earlier to you to say Then we got material matters, right?
Yeah.
Within the material matters, for example, your environmental matters, your climate change, your water, your biodiversity, it sits with the environmental department. Each operation has its own environmental, so they know what they expected of. Then you got the social, there's the health and safety, there's the human resources, there's talent management. You see all these things, where are they going? To the executive HR.
Okay.
So she is responsible for those issues. Then you also would have the governance issues. You got technology there, you got cyber security. The executive for IT is responsible to that. So everybody kind of, that's why those material matters was a bottom-up approach. Everybody come along, know your responsibility, who is responsible for these. Tshegofatso, the ESG or sustainable executive, her role is to ensure everything is coordinated. But I cannot work alone. So it filters down to the operation. That's why when I go and chair the Sustainable Development Committee, when I sit there, the health and safety people come and report about health and safety. It's not my team. It's the health and safety at that particular operation. Community engagement at that particular operation. So it's actually very rolled out, very nice. And then the agenda items of these Sustainable Development Committee, they mimic the board Social and Ethics Committee. So it's a bottom-up approach. Everybody kind of know the work that they're supposed to do.
Okay, now that's really great. Now on to the issue of communities. Being in the mining space, the role of your company in community empowerment, in transformation. How does African Rainbow Minerals do that?
The fact that our mines are located in different provinces, surrounded by communities, some are within the community area. So social transformation is very critical to us, and is one of the element of the ESG, the S pillar. You cannot you cannot ignore that. So in those areas, we provide employee opportunities, skills development. We do health support. We do educational support in the areas, and we partner with the communities. We partner with the local municipalities, the provincial government, the authorities actually, to identify the infrastructure, identify the social projects that the community needs, right? That could actually improve their livelihood. Remember, most of the people work from those communities are also our employees, you know, so it's in our best interest to actually take care of them. And what I love about South African legislation, you know, your Minerals and Petroleum Resources Development Act, your MPRDA, talks about social labor plan, which says every operation, you must have a 5-year plan of what you are going to do to improve the areas around you. And then all this project, all this health support, everything that we identify, we're not doing it alone. We do it with our communities. And they hold us accountable. We do have community engagement meetings, you know. They happen at a different frequency for each operation, right? Where these issues, the follow-ups are done in terms of how are we progressing with those projects. And then the DMPR as well. And DMPR, yeah. I remember DMRE, now we move to DMPR. They hold us accountable, beautiful. And then they audit us on these issues. And then in areas that are far from us, we have operation having a CSI, Corporate Social Investment Project, where they assist where they can as well. So that is done. There's also preferential procurement, you know, supplier development programs, operations have those where they actually assist, you know, the youth owned companies, the black owned companies, the women owned companies. They are actually supporting them, you know, in terms of trying to also help them become part of the whole supply chain process. And the whole beautiful part about this whole social transformation process is that the social and ethics of the board. It's providing oversight.
Yes.
So on quarterly basis, they need to give feedback to the social and ethics and ultimately the board. And then also on my sustainable development committees, it's an agenda item. How are we doing in terms of our mining charter? How are we doing in terms of our SLP? What are the challenges? And if there are challenges, what are the actions that are going to be done? So it is very close to us. That's part of ESG.
Yes. So moving to the mining sectors, the industry itself, it's clear that when we talk about sustainability in South Africa, for many reasons, the sector is always the one top of mind, right?
Yeah.
And so despite the progress, we know that the challenges remain. What are the biggest ones facing the mining sector? What are those barriers, whether they're policy or just performance issues in the mining sector?
Yeah.
What is keeping us back from really moving
forward.
faster to impact on sustainability?
Look, but I must say we've progressed well. I've been fortunate that my entire career has been in mining, so I tend to witness things evolving and sustainability evolving. From my perspective, I think where we kind of bit behind is we rely a lot on international standards. You got international IFRS standards, you got the global reporting standards. We don't have our own standards. The JC, for example, it does have that guidance on sustainability guidance,
Yes.
JC climate change guidance, and you could see they build it almost in line with your TCFD, with your IFRS, but it's not mandatory. You know, it is there. So you use it, you don't use it, there's no point. But we still try and push to meet the international standards. So I think it's something that we need to start looking at it, having a local flavor, you know, bringing that South African context. I think the other thing is just the legacy on the mining side in terms of abandoned mines, you know. There's still an issue because you still have those mines that have not been rehabbed, you know. So I think that's something that needs to be looked at. I mean, in the past months in the news, it was about illegal mining.
Yes.
I mean, they bring safety issues to the people themselves, but to the community around those mining areas. So I would think those are the kind of things that we need to be looking at. But we've progressed very well. We've progressed very well.
That's fabulous. Now to always our big question, women in mining. How have things changed for women in mining?
Ooh, no, we've also progressed. I mean, I remember still myself young, 26 years when I joined mining. Like, there were very few women, as I said, and when we had to wear PPE, personal protection equipment, there were those big overalls. You needed to try and tie it so that it fit you. We didn't have proper sizes of shoes and all that. Things have changed, right? We see more women entering the mining space. Beautiful women are actually on the roles, occupying roles that are now critical core to the business. You got rock drillers, you got women driving machines. So they're on different levels of management. You got women at executive level. We still want to see more CEOs in mining. We still have few.
How many do you have right now?
CEO, I can think of Natasha Velyun, and then Bumi at Kumba. You see.
Albertina is which company was
No,
that?
there's one at Merafe as well.
Okay,
Merafe,
right.
I forgot her name, yes.
Yeah.
So you see, we're very few. You see, I'm trying to look for them, But in the executive levels, we see women are part of key decision-making process. I mean, I'm an executive as well now, you know. We are there, that's beautiful. And then there's also issue of infrastructure. It has improved. They got their own ablution facilities, their personal protective equipment, you know, strictly for them, change houses. And then there's this issue of gender and diversity that is core as well to the business. It's also one of our material issues. And then there's gender mainstreaming, you know, policies when they are developed, they take into consideration we have women. You know, that's actually more beautiful. And even at our operation, we got women in mining forums. So women in our operations, they got platforms where they just go and talk about women issues. What I actually liked, it was the health and the safety health milestone, right? The ones that the Mine Health Safety Act now, we have women in mining milestones. You know, that's actually beautiful. That says all operations, you must look at the gender-based violence and femicide, right? Incidents must be prevented. If they are there, they must be reported and addressed. And then they even now looking, they even saying there that we must looking at nursing mothers, lactation, infrastructure for them. So I think we've progressed very well. It's actually beautiful to witness. I was looking at the numbers actually the other day to say in 2025, with about more than 400 employees in the mining sector that were employed, and 15% is women. So we're getting there. It will be interesting in the coming years to actually look at how we progress. But I'm actually very proud from where I started and where we are now. It's beautiful, yeah.
Now we must see more progress there.
Yes, definitely.
And improve those numbers.
Yes.
Now, you spoke about the UN Global Compact earlier when you were mentioning the evolution of corporate sustainability. You've been part of our champions in championing the principles. What should be your message out there for companies not yet in the Global Compact? This is a cheeky question.
I feel like this is the question for African Rainbow Minerals. Like, when are we joining? Look, UNGC, you're doing an excellent job. Actually, I love it. Even the podcast for actually inviting me here today to come and be part of the session. And I see how you champion the Sustainable Development Goals, and that's actually beautiful. The work that you do, the VNR that you do with the government, it's actually beautiful. You are actually saying sustainability is actually core to the business. We need to embed it. And those 10 principles, I mentioned them earlier on. And I'll tell you, even us at African Rainbow Minerals, although we're not members, those principles we do actually comply to. Those principles, you can go and look at our reports. So I'm saying, people out there, companies out there, even African Rainbow Minerals, I hope my CEO is listening. We will actually look at that, Aching, to actually join you. You're doing an excellent job, and well done, and thank you so much for actually inviting me here. It has been wonderful to take kind of a reflection of where sustainability is from and where it's going.
Thank you so much for your incredible insights, for your generosity, and we can't wait to really welcome African Rainbow Minerals into the UN Global Compact.
We're coming.
To be part of this community.
Definitely.
I think one of the most feedback we get back is when we bring companies together, when we convene companies together to learn together, to share the experiences, and to use those experiences to improve on their sustainability journeys. Thank you very much for coming
Thank you so much,
today.
Thank you. It was lovely.
And that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you very much. Until next time.